Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman are hooking up. Zac Efron playing an egotistical movie star and Nicole Kidman an award-winning writer with a daughter who just happens to be Joey King and a mother-in-law who is Kathy Bates. A family affair is truly the perfect formula for success. And oh man, did they hook me right off the bat with Nicole Kidman in a rom-com. It was so interesting to see her take on a role like this. We're not used to it. A Family Affair is a Netflix original movie that just dropped last week, and it seems I'm the only one who loved this film, especially after looking at the reviews. They're all pretty brutal. It also shocked me how much I loved it, considering I'm not really a rom-com lover. It's not my go-to, that's for sure, but I found this movie incredibly endearing. So let's break it down. There will be spoilers ahead. Like I said, I watched this movie, so you don't have to. From the get-go, we're introduced to Joey King's character called Zara, a personal assistant to Chris Cole, played by Zac Efron, a world-famous movie star. Very meta. He is known for somewhat crappy movies, a franchise that makes no sense. We love it. Chris Cole is a bit of a narcissist, seemingly lacking friends aside from Zara, who he calls late at night when he can't sleep. It's kind of sweet. He has her run errands, though, that are oftentimes quite shocking, including buying pairs of earrings for girls he plans on breaking up with. And he also sends Zara to their place to collect all his things every time this happens. Not to mention, he is immature and has moments of being completely out of touch with the world. One particular line I loved was, "Meet me in my house at 8:30 with a latte with cow's milk." From a real cow, or is that cancelled now? I did chuckle. I was here for the goofy, silly jokes. Anyway, back to the story. Zara hates her job, hates her life, has major imposter syndrome, and feels like she'll never live up to the success of her mother or her grandmother. So that being said, she has some pent-up resentment, which she takes out on everyone around her. Anyway, she quits her job with Chris, and her first meet cute arises when Chris comes to the house to try to convince her to work for him again. It's worth noting, Zara still lives with her mother. She's 24 years old. No shame in that. Just need to know that. Chris and Brooke meet, aka Nicole Kidman, and the two hit it off instantly, bonding over a shared loss of a loved one, and Chris feeling like he can speak candidly about himself. Not to mention, he shows genuine interest in Brooke, and he of course loves the fact that she doesn't know him or is starstruck by him in any kind of way. The two instantly hook up, love to see it. They're both wildly attractive people and deserve each other, which was how I was feeling 20 minutes into this movie, not knowing these characters yet at all. I just shipped them hard. As expected, Zara comes home, catches them in the act, and of course is furious. I mean, it's quite traumatizing to walk in on your mother if she's with your boss. That would be a bit strange, you know? She agrees to come back to work for Chris if she is allowed to be a producer, and under one condition, he must end this torrid love affair with her mother. Doesn't happen, of course, and they continue a secret romance behind Zara's back for a short time before Brooke comes clean about the entire thing, resulting in chaos, of course. Their dates are very sweet. Chris Cole takes Brooke to New York City, aka just a movie lot, but it was very endearing. He also books out an entire restaurant just for her, and I found the whole thing really very sweet. I was shipping them so hard. The movie highlights perfectly the dynamic between mother and daughter and how as children we view our parents as simply that, parents. They are the providers, they are the security, and their job is to take care of their children. However, what we must learn is that before they were parents, they were people. And in this instance, Brooke was a woman before she was a mother. Like everyone else, she is living her life for the very first time. And though when you become a parent, your job is to provide for your child, it doesn't mean your life is gone. It shouldn't mean that your hopes and dreams are abandoned. Parents deserve to fall in love like anyone else, especially if you're a widow. Why can't you move on and find love with someone else? They deserve to do things that make them happy. And in this instance, Brooke was being forced to sacrifice her happiness she hadn't felt in a long time for her daughter, who is at this point 24 years old and choosing to live at home. Live your life, girl. Okay, back to the story then. I did forget to mention Liza Koshy is in this movie. I was utterly shocked, but good for her. She did a phenomenal job. I'd never seen her act in anything until this moment, and I thought she was great. She plays Zara's best friend, but tensions mount between the two as Zara can't seem to see anything other than her own personal problems, in turn being blind to her best friend going through a devastating breakup and not being there for her. After Zara overhears a conversation between her mother and grandmother, her perspective on the situation does begin to shift. We know at this point her grievances with Chris are based on her personal experience working for him, being the one to clean up his mess, deal with his petty antics, and being the bearer of bad news for the girls he doesn't want to date anymore. And of course, being the one to buy the earrings he uses to break up with them. So when Chris comes for Christmas and Zara finds a pair of earrings in his bag, things fall apart completely for everyone. And it's sad because at this point, Zara is becoming more accepting. Everyone had a wonderful Christmas. And literally, as everyone's departing, that's when the earrings are discovered. Whereas still, Zara picks the worst possible way to expose Chris and in turn embarrasses her mother completely. Her mother doesn't want Zara in the house and Zara wants nothing to do with Chris. However, Zara does have a breakthrough and regrets her actions, classic, and sets up a meeting place for Chris and Brooke without either of them knowing. They reunite, they're happy, everything is resolved, and Zara becomes the head of Chris's company like she always wanted to be. The end. Now, this is a very brief overview of the entire movie, and describing it in detail right now has made me realize maybe it wasn't as good as I remember. Oh well, it still does not take away from the fact that I had a blast watching this film. I had the best time, I had the biggest smile on my face. I did think it was funny. I thought Zac Efron played the character very well. I thought Nicole Kidman in a rom-com was great, even though every time they kissed, it was very strange. It might have been the weirdest kissing I've ever seen. Could be all the Botox in both of their faces, but it doesn't matter. There was so much chemistry between the two. I loved it. The movie as a whole definitely resembled The Idea of You, the movie starring Anne Hathaway that was based on Harry Styles' fanfic, where she falls in love with the lead singer of a boy band. We love an age gap romance, apparently, right now. And I was fearful it may go down that route of exposing the relationship to the public and the age gap being the reason for the breakup. Thankfully, it didn't do that. Instead, what I loved about the film was that the story was contained to the family. It focused on the family dynamics and making us understand motherhood more and the amount mothers sacrifice for their own children. It was even a wake-up call for me. It gave me a different perspective on how I view my parents. I need to remember, they are people first and foremost. They deserve to be happy. They shouldn't just be put in this box of being parents. Your parents are people too. Remember that. I think this movie was great. I thought it was very endearing. I thought it was emotional at times. And I thought it just had a very big heart and I thought it was very smart. I also love any movie that is a bit meta. I love movie references. There were some scenes that I was like, is this straight out of Big Little Lies? Not in a bad way. There's a time they rent a beach house that looks just like out of Big Little Lies when Nicole Kidman moves out and flees. Anyway, I can never tell if something's a reference or if it's just me having watched too many things in my life that I'm like, I know where this is. I definitely want to hear your opinions on this movie though. Like I said, I looked at reviews. People did not agree with me. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 44%. Average star rating was 2.2 out of 5. I guess I watched something else. Sometimes, though, it comes down to when you watch it, the mood you're in that day. I think I was needing something a bit more uplifting. I needed a good chuckle. I needed to see romance. And I got exactly what I wanted. I definitely preferred it to The Idea of You. I know a lot of people loved The Idea of You, as did I. But I preferred this movie. I thought it was great. And to be honest, I've never really liked Joey King. If you know me personally, my words will often be harsher than that towards her. But she's done nothing wrong. I just don't like her movies and I hated The Kissing Booth. But in this film, I thought she was great. My opinions changed drastically, and I appreciate that. So thank you, Joey King, for doing this movie, and I apologize for all I've said in the past. Not all of it, because you have made some really bad movies, but the best thing you ever did was Gypsy Rose. So just remember that. We need another version of The Act. The Act 2.0. The Act without prison. Let me know in the comments below if you watched the movie, your review, if you enjoyed it, if you hated it, why you hated it. I want to hear every perspective possible. And that being said, I will see you in the next video.